Hey guys, Balubish here. So I want to talk about Star Citizen and the server restrictions that confuse people for some reason. Right now, I'm in Star Citizen and the CPU is running at 20%, around 3 gigabytes of RAM. GPU is running at 100%, which it always should. And the GPU temp is at 67 degrees, which is normal. Clock is maxed out too. So, I'm in Arena Commander with 55 frames per second, maxed out at 4K. Very high settings. Only slight problem though. The game is broken, so I can't get any ship. I have my pistol here, you can see. But that's it. I'm not sure what's going on, but still, the game runs. So right now we are at 44 frames per second, 4K, and the GPU is running at 100%. So I saw this video from Newbie before, and people think that the server restriction is not in the game, which it is still, and have been since 2.0. But somehow some people get a lot more frames. Well, you get more frames when you join a server, and more people join, the less frames you get. So I'm going to show you guys these restrictions and how they work. So to get max frames on your PC, the GPU usage is always 100%, or should be if it's coded well, and should rely less on the CPU. So let's get into the game. We are still at 43 frames per second at 4K maxed out. So if we wanted, well, we can keep it on very high. So if we go to 1440p, we should get more frames, which is most logical, right? Which we get, 9 frames per second. 1440p, maxed out. Even though it's broken, but we get more frames. And GPU usage is still 100%. Well, it dips when I change the settings. But the GPU temp is still high, which is normal on air cooled, and clock speed is high, and GPU usage is on 100%. And the more frames rely on the CPU a bit, so the CPU usage goes up a bit. So let's go to 1080p. So remember, 90 frames per second at 1440p. Now 1080p, we get 150 frames per second. Which is also normal. That means the GPU is still running at 100%. Yep, 99%. Core clock is still high. GPU temp is still high. CPU usage went up a bit. So, what is the conclusion here? A game should run the GPU at 100% to get most frames. So, let's leave it at 1080p. We have around 150 frames per second almost at 1080p. I'm not sure how much low settings. Well, it says 4K, but it's not, because it's broken. So let's take low settings. I'm not sure how much more that would give us, but yeah, 30 frames or so. So let's not bother with that setting. And we just keep jumping back for some fucking reason. There we go, 140 frames. And it's jumping back, well, whatever. So, 140 frames. Let's go to the menu. I'm back. Exit. And go into the universe. Take you. Also keep in mind the game is in alpha, so it's far from finished. But I see a lot of people thinking that, well, you have to have this and you need to have that and that to make the frames go up. No, you can't do shit about it. You saw the frames I had, 140 frames per second at 1080p in the Arena Commander. And the GPU usage was at 100%. I had the same frames per second I had since 2.0 in the Precision Universe. It's no difference. No difference whatsoever. And I have even upgraded the hardware since then. I still have the same frames. So what you are gonna see now is how the servers are restricting your hardware, basically. And yeah, it has to load for a while. Oh, the weight is killing me. Well, I can go into the hardware I have. I have a 6800K overclocked to 4.1 gigahertz, so 6 cores, 12 threads. EVGA GTX 1080 for the win. 32 gigabytes of 3200 megahertz RAM in quad channel. So that should be plenty enough to run the game. But you saw 140 frames per second, 150 frames per second in Arena Commander, and the GPU was loading at 100%, which is totally normal for a game. Good lord, loading is long today. Also, I don't know what happened to the loading screen. I pointed out on several places that I didn't think 3.0 would be or should be released before Christmas. I can understand why they wanted it to, but I saw plenty of bugs in the game before the live version, so I didn't see a point in releasing a broken alpha game, even if it's alpha. Alpha is for testing, so, but if it's broken, it's no point in releasing it for testing. Because live to me should be at least a functional game, and right now I've had problems spawning ships that actually works, and now it's the third week after. Is it third week? Yeah, it's the third week after New Year's. So yeah, it's not going well, and that's what happened when you push out games beforehand. Just look at EA. They fucked up a lot of games. I pre-ordered Battlefield 4. That was a shitstorm. I couldn't play the single player game for a year after release, thanks to EA. So right now we have a lot of loading and stuff. I can understand that. That's why we have so many dips in frames. But right now my GPU is cooling down actually. We have some other players here, which proves it's the... What is up with that guy's shoulder pads? Holy shit. But yeah, this is the live version and not the offline one. Still the same hardware, still the same resolution. That we had 140 frames per second with. It says 4K again, even though it's not, because the game is stupid. Here we go, very high, 1080p. So, 140 frames per second to, well, right now, between 1 frames per second and 24. So, oh man, this is fucking terrible. So, if we look on the GPU usage, wow, it's between 6% and 30%. And CPU usage is 30%-ish, kinda. But yeah, before in Arena Commander it was up here at 100%. Now it's sad down here. And the GPU was around 70 degrees before in Arena, because it actually had to work. The card is basically on idle. The clock is even gotten down. It was on 2 gigahertz before. So yeah, that is server restriction, folks. So the rest bullshit people talk about is on the nets that thinks, no, it's your hardware. That's all bullshit. That is not how games work. That is not how hardware works. This is plain and simple server restrictions. And still I can't fucking spawn a ship that works. It's the second week, I think, I can't spawn a fucking ship. So yeah, welcome to Star Citizen at 3.0, by the way. So if we change to, god damn it, if we change to 4K, we won't see any frame difference. Normally we get less, but you can't get less when you don't get any, right? And yeah, 4K. Ooh, we actually gained a few frames. Well, 1, maybe. And the card went up. Ooh. Ooh, what's happening? Oh. Well, yeah, temps going up. Well, yeah. Now the card actually have to work. So that's why I play the game in 4K, because it looks better. And playing on 1080p doesn't give me any more frames, which is kind of disappointing. Sure, the game looks nice at 4K for sure, but I'd rather play with some more frames. This is even less than a console. And I know it's not anything wrong with the hardware, because I basically showed you the reason why. So let's stand here. Somebody lost their rockets. So before we end the video, go to 1080p. Give me more frames. Nope. No more frames. Oh, well, maybe one. But now the GPU is going down. It's down to 20 to 30% usage. And it's cooling down. So yeah, that's Star Citizen for you. 3.0. Have a nice day.